What's up, sisters? This is your boy, Beef, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we have another build guide that's been very highly requested. We're going to be building an Artificer. This build is able to do just about everything and do it really damn well. Summon an automaton to fight for you and provide extra defenses for you and your teammates. Cast powerful spells and smack pretty much everything in sight with your weapons. This build makes use of some mechanics and spells that I hadn't gotten much use out of before, so this one is really refreshing to play with. Before we get into it, thanks for watching this video. If you like this build, let me know by liking the video, commenting down below what you would do differently, and subscribe to my channel for more modded builds like this. Without further ado, let's get into the gating of Baldur 3. So this build is using the Artificer class mod for homebrew with comprehensive reworks made by modder Echo. This class isn't a direct port of the Artificer class from D&D 5th edition, as it makes a few adjustments to keep it more compatible with the video game rather than tabletop. If you want to make yourself even more powerful, there are additional mods available for this class that grant you feats at every other level, rather than 4, 8, and 12, and so on. This mod includes progression up to level 12, but if you have the level 20 mod enabled, you can continue leveling if you want. So, first things first, starting at level 1, we're taking the Artificer class. I'm using a Tiefling Hireling for this build. If you can't really see that under the armor, but if you're starting a new playthrough, I think it would be really fun to build this with a gnome or a dwarf, especially being Artificer. They're pretty, they like to tinker and stuff and craft. For our cantrips, we are going to go with Guidance and Mage Hand. This character's primary focus is going to be melee, so the majority of the spells that we want to take are going to be rituals, support spells, and different buffs. The Artificer, in general, is the ultimate Swiss Army knife class, so we're going to treat it that way. And that's why we're going to take Mage Hand and Guidance. For our spells, I would take something like Longstrider and also maybe Disguise Self. We have access to a ton of really great things here. We have Shield. Shield is a really awesome one. I would definitely consider taking that one. Featherfall is a great utility spell to have. Enhanced Leap. Grease is a really nice one and actually works out pretty well for this class too, because you need Grease to tinker with your automaton, so it makes sense thematically. You get access to Healing Word and Cure Wounds. I like Healing Word just because it's a bonus action, but by all means. Thunderwave is a really great spell. Sanctuary is pretty good. Magic Missile is a really good offensive spell, and Thunderwave too. Fairy Fire is really awesome, but it takes a concentration slot, and we'll have a better use for that down the line. But generally, we're going to go with something like, these are all spells that we're going to take at some point anyway, because this class gets access to a lot of spells. So just pick your favorites for now. I'm going to go with Healing Word and Longstrider because I like them, and I think they're useful. So one of the best things about the Artificer is Infusions. These are buffs that we can basically enchant onto our weapons and gear, or onto the weapons and gear of our allies as well. Hence, the Swiss Army knife aspect. You can choose to make yourself or your allies significantly stronger. So we have a couple different infusion options here. We have Armor of Magical Strength, which adds our intelligence modifier to strength saving throws and checks. We have the same thing for Armor of Tools, but it goes for Dexterity, the intelligence modifier. We have Enhanced Arcane Focus, which allows us to add a +1 to our spell attack rolls. Or at level 10, and then at level 10 it gets increased to a +2. We get a similar concept with Enhanced Defense, add +1 to armor class. At level 10, add +2. The same for Weapon, add +1 to melee weapon attack and ranged weapon attack, and at level 10, add +2. Returning Weapon allows you to it's kind of very similar to bounding your weapon as an Eldritch Knight. You can add homing to a weapon to have it returned to you, to thrown weapon. So this is a really fun way to play the build, actually, if you want to go ranged. And Mind Sharpener, which helps you to gain advantage at concentration. This one's really nice, but we're not going to need it because we're going to have a different method for doing this. So the ones that I'm going to take are Armor of Magical Strength. Actually, no. Let's see. So the ones that I'm going to take to start the game are going to be Enhanced Defense and Enhanced Weapon. Just really great to have. Easy way to boost our survivability in the early game and our damage. So for our subclass, we're going to be taking the BattleSmith. This subclass gives us a unique automaton steel defender. Basically your very own steel watcher, sorta. Also going to get an awesome infusion called the Helm of Awareness. which gives you the effects of the alert feat, which is really awesome. We can enchant that onto anyone, either ourselves or our allies. And even more, we get Battle Ready, a passive that adds our intelligence modifier to attack rolls instead of our dexterity or strength modifiers. So we're now a really effective melee combatant, and we don't need our strength or dexterity stats for attacking at all. For our ability scores, this class has a really unique quirk. Instead of a +2, we're going to get access to a +3. So this means we don't have to have a 17 or any odd numbers, weirdly enough, even though it's a +3. So we're going to start by putting a +3 into our intelligence and bringing our intelligence score up to 18. We're also going to take our +1 in constitution and get our constitution up to 16. We're going to take our dexterity to 14 for the armor class bonus and initiative. We're going to take 10 in wisdom, and we're going to get 8s in both strength and charisma. We're not going to need strength at all, because of a few specific things that we're going to grab, and charisma is also not super necessary for this build. So at level 2, we're going to pick the 2 spells that we didn't get last time that we want. I'm going to go for Shield and Disguise Self, just because I like those spells. There's really no wrong one to go with, just whatever you think is the best one for you. Additionally, we're going to get our first 2 inventions. These are kind of like Warlock invocations. They allow us to customize different aspects of how our Artificer plays. For this build, we don't get very many infusion points, but infusions are really, really good to have. So we're going to take the infusion recalibration invention. This one allows us to, after a short rest, your arcane reserves are replenished, restoring 1 infusion to fuel your magical inventions. Basically, this just means that every time we short rest, we're going to get another infusion point. And this synergizes really well with other short rest resource classes like bards, warlocks, monks, fighters, and so on, things that get their resources back on a short rest. We're also going to take Fast Thinking Invention. This one is going to give us 1 extra reaction per turn, which is really awesome. And when we get our next level, we're going to weaponize this part of our turn for a ton of extra damage and more attacks per turn. At level 3, we're going to get the Right Tools for the Job ability. This is a really cool ability which makes it so that we'll never be out of Thieves' Tools or Trap Disarms again. You can, as it says here, once per short rest, can summon a Thieves' Tools, Trap Disarming Kit, Shovel, and Bottle of Water. They disappear after 5 turns. So you can just spawn them in, use them if you need them, and then don't need it anymore. Really great utility. We're also going to get a cool new ability which allows us to protect our allies with a +5 to AC and freeing them of a ton of different conditions. You can see here protect an ally, increasing his armor by +5 for 2 turns, and removing burning, ensnared, entangled, and webbed, prone, and sleeping. So it's kind of like greater restoration almost. It's very powerful, and you get a +5 to armor class, and there's no resource for it except for bonus actions. Really awesome ability to have. You can just go and touch somebody and boom, they get a huge boost to their defenses. So for our spells at this level, we're going to take Aid, really great spell, and we're also going to take Warding Bond. Warding Bond isn't really that great at this level, but it will soon become absolutely crazy and build defining for us. So at this level, we're also going to get our first proficiency. And this can be tough because a lot of the time it's like, I don't know what specific weapon type I'm going to use throughout the game. Like I might want to play with a longsword, but then what happens if I find a great axe that I really want to use? Or what happens if I find a warhammer that I really like and does great damage? And I want to change weapon types. Well, fortunately for us, we can also take heavy armor here so that we can just beef ourselves up and be more tanky. So let's do that. We can also stick to simple weapons for now if needed, or you could do that. You could grab the throwing weapon build or infusion and go for throwing weapons and not have to worry about these sort of martial weapons here. At level 4, we're going to take Enhance Ability and Featherfall. These are just 2 more really great utility spells for passing checks and jumping from high heights. This one is another ritual spell, so it doesn't even use the spell slots. This one is just really great for if you need to get proficiency in ability and or not proficiency, to gain advantage on ability check with a chosen ability. Really awesome. So now we get 2 more infusions. For our first one, we're going to grab the Armor of Magical Strength. So remember how we didn't put any points into strength before, and now we had a -1? But it doesn't matter because our intelligence score is 18, so we get a +4 to attack rolls anyway. Now we also get strength saving throws and checks receiving intelligence modifier if we attach this to ourselves. So effectively, this means our strength score doesn't matter, and we replace our strength score with our intelligence score for pretty much all uses, except for carry weight, but that's not a huge deal. You could also pick a secondary thing here like Armor of Tools. This does the same thing but for dexterity checks. You could pick Returning Weapon if you wanted to do the throw build. You could choose Mind Sharpener. Really, at this point, there's not. We're gonna get access to a few more at the next levels, but I'll go with the homing weapon for this one. We also at level 4 are going to get our first feat, and for our first feat, we are going to be taking Sentinel. At level 3, we got our extra reaction, and now that we have it, this feat is doubly useful for us. When an enemy within melee range attacks an ally, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack against that enemy. Target ally must not have the Sentinel feat. You gain advantage on opportunity attacks, and when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, it can no longer move for the rest of its turn. So basically, what this is going to help us do is we're going to stand side by side with our automaton, and anytime that either that we get attacked, we're going to attack it back, and anytime that our automaton gets attacked, we're going to attack it. So we're just going to be attacking things all the time. Really great. Sentinel is an easy pick. At level 5, we're going to get a new feature that allows us to boost our allies' spell protection. Instead of their physical protection, we get a +5 to saving throws for 2 turns and remove burning, ensnared, entangled, and web, prone, and sleeping, all those different abilities. So it's just kind of the other side of the same coin right there. At level 5, we're also going to get extra attack. Awesome. And it doesn't say here, but our Steel Defender is also going to get extra attack, so he's going to be doing 2 attacks per turn. For our cantrip, we can pick kind of whatever we want. I'm going to go with Shocking Grasp, just because I feel like it matches the melee style and kind of the Artificer flavor. For spells here, you can take pretty much whatever you want. I'm going to go with Grease and Mirror Image. Mirror Image is a really great one because it doesn't require concentration. Same for Grease. Neither of them require concentration. And this one will boost our armor class by 9 at the beginning, and Grease is just a really great spell to have. So at level 6, we're going to get access to 3rd level spells, and we have access to some really, really good 3rd level spells. Specifically, we want Haste. This is our main concentration spell, and the thing that we're going to be building pretty much around entirely. It's going to synergize really well with the gear that we're going to use, and it's going to make us. It's going to take us to a whole other level of powerful. We're also going to take Conjure Barrage, which is a unique spell that I didn't really have much experience with, but I really like it on this character because it allows you to channel your weapon's essence into a destructive widespread volley. So it takes whatever kind of weapon you're doing and makes it into a big AoE attack right in front of you, which is really awesome for this kind of melee attack, but using spell slots kind of ability. We're also going to get access to some new infusions, but the one that I'm going to take here is Boots of the Winding Path. Once per combat, can Misty Step. It's really awesome to get a free Misty Step every combat. We're also going to get 2 new inventions, and this time we're going to be taking Mechanical Fury. After you crit, mechanical summons within 18 meters to you also crit. So basically, we're just going to pass on every time that we critical hit. Our automaton will also be getting a critical hit that turn. And we're also going to take Quick Toss. This one is really great because it allows us to throw things with a bonus action. So we can toss potions at our friends with a bonus action now. Really great utility to have. At level 7, we're going to get access to 2 more spells. So I'm going to take Lightning Bolt and Glyph of Warding, 2 really great spells. We get access to a ton of really good things like Fireball here, but these are just 2 that I prefer myself. We're also going to choose another proficiency, and for this build, I'm going to take Halberds. There's a specific weapon that we're going to use for this build that is a halberd that will synergize incredibly well with the rest of the build. At level 8, we get 2 more spells, and now we get access to level 4 spells, so I'm going to take Death Ward and Freedom of Movement. I don't know why the spells show up kind of randomized here instead of in groups of like spells. It might be one of the UI things that I have installed, but either way, we're going to go with Death Ward and Freedom of Movement. These are 2 really great buffs that don't require concentration and just help us to stay alive and help us, and we're going to use them specifically on our Steel Defender. We're also going to get 1 more infusion, and this time we're going to get some new ones. I'm going to take Radiant Weapon because this is a great buff to put onto our weapon that stacks with our other buffs. At level 8, we're also going to get a new feat, and this time I am going to take Great Weapon Master. This one's awesome because when you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action that turn. It also just adds extra damage to your abilities. You have this toggleable thing that it takes a -5 for your attack rolls, but gives you a +10 to damage. Lucky for us, we're going to be adding a bunch of +1s and +2s to our by enchanting our weapons, so we'll negate the side effects of this -5. and just take the +10 out of it. Really great ability. At level 9, I'm going to take a random cantrip, and this time we're going to go with Thorn Whip, because why not? For spells, we get access to a bunch of new level 4 spells. For instance, we've got Wall of Fire and Ice Storm. These are two really great spells that I think I actually am going to take myself. At level 9, we're going to get another proficiency, and I am going to take longbows, because then we can get access to some really great stat sticks. We're not really going to use our longbows for doing range damage, but they will just help to give us some nice buffs. At level 10, we're going to get access to some level 5 spells. Specifically, we're going to grab Mass Cure Wounds. This is a really great spell to have. And we're also going to get Banishing Smite. It says here ranged, but we also have access to a melee one, and this is a really awesome spell to do. It takes your weapon damage and then adds 5d10 force, so you could potentially add 50 damage of force damage to your attack, and also banish them for 2 turns. Really great ability to have. With level 10, we are also going to get a new infusion, and for this one, we're going to take either the spell Refueling Ring or the Repulsion Shield. I like Repulsion Shield. It allows us once per combat, you can reflect any range attack for 3 turns. Really cool to have. We don't have to give it to ourselves necessarily, but we can give it to our friends if we want to. We also get 2 more inventions, and at this point, these aren't super useful for us, but we are going to take Tactical Aid, which is another great utility spell ability. Can cast help for free. It just means we can do this without using an action. I'm also going to take Elemental Adaptation, because this one's really nice. It allows us to, I'll explain it here. Elemental Adaptation, at the start of combat, you turn vulnerable to Force, Lightning, and Thunder damage. After you receive Force, Lightning, or Thunder damage, you turn immune to that damage for the rest of combat. So if you can find a way to inflict yourself with a tiny amount of Force, Lightning, or Thunder damage at the beginning of combat, you can make yourself then immune to it for the rest of combat, which is really great. And there's actually something that we're going to do with that, with force damage, with this build. At level 11, we get access to some more spells. We get access to a few new level 5 spells. And you can grab pretty much whatever you want. I'm going to go with Cone of Cold here, because it's a really great, does a lot of damage, and does really great damage in melee range, and we're going to be in melee range a lot. I'm also going to take Shatter, because I really like that spell. Really cool. It's not level 5 spell, but it's fun to have. We're also going to get another proficiency. You can grab whatever you like. I'm going to go with Heavy Crossbows, just because there's more stat sticks there. And finally, at level 12, we are going to get whatever spells you want. Once again, I'm going to go with Magic Missile, because it's a great spell to have for damage. And I'm also going to get Grant Flight, because it's another great utility spell. We get access to 1 more infusion, and this time we are going to take the spell Refueling Ring. The spell Refueling Ring allows us to restore a level 3 spell slot. Easy spend. And at level 12, we're going to get our last feat, and for this one, we're going to take Polearm Master. Polearm Master is when we're attacking with a glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear, you can use a bonus action to attack with the butt of your weapon, and you can also make opportunity attacks when a target comes within range. So now, anytime an enemy comes within 10 feet of us, because we'll be wielding a halberd, we're going to be able to attack them with our reactions specifically. So Polearm Master. So what you're going to want to do at the start of every game day is the first thing you're going to want to do is summon your Steel Defender. This is going to use your Arcane Jolts, and we're going to summon him in. And here we have a new Automaton friend. He has 72 health and is immune to poison. Next, we're going to cast on ourselves the Helm of Awareness. This is going to give us the Alert feat. +5 to initiative. Can't be surprised. Easy. This is one that uses our infusion slots. We only get 4, plus our recharges on short rests. So we have to use them sparingly. Next, we're going to infuse ourselves with the Armor of Magical Strength, so that our strength saving throws are made with intelligence instead. We are also going to infuse ourselves with the Enhanced Weapon to give ourselves a +1, or because we are at level 12, a +2 to our weapon damage. We're also going to use our last Arcane Jolt, or our infusion on Enhanced Defense, to give us a +2 to our armor class. Awesome to have. After we've infused ourselves, we're going to use Aid, and we're going to upcast it to level 6 for +25. We're going to do this after, we want to make sure that we do this after we've already spawned our Defender in, because you can give your Defender can benefit from this and gain more health. You're also going to want to cast Warding Bond on your Defender. What this is going to enable us to do is they gain resistance to all damage and a +1 bonus to their armor class and saving throws. Each time the ally takes damage, you take the same amount of damage. So what that's going to do is, you can see we're now linked with these kind of floating squares around us. And if we pop over here and look, our animated armor now has resistance to slashing damage, piercing damage, bludgeoning, acid, thunder, necrotic, fire, lightning, all the damage types in the game. But what that does mean is that whenever it takes damage, we're going to take damage. But with our gear, we are going to abuse that fact by finding ways to negate damage, just take a ton less ourselves. And so, speaking of equipment, let's go ahead and look at the equipment that we have. So for this build, we have a couple different options, but the main thing that we're going to look at here is the adamantine splint armor. This armor is one of the best armors in the game, and it really kind of meshes well with both the flavor of this class and with the mechanics of the class, because one of the abilities of this armor is magical plate, which means that all incoming damage is reduced by 2. So what that means for us is that the damage that the steel defender takes is going to first get halved as it is resisted, and then onto us it's going to be halved, and then once it's halved again, it's going to be reduced by 2. Additionally, the adamantine splint armor means that attackers can't land critical hits on us, which means that we're lessening the chances of getting nuked by accident by one of those attacks. For our helmet slot, we're going to be using the Steel Watcher helmet. I think this one speaks for itself. Where it can see in the dark up to 12 meters and cannot be blinded. Those are both two really awesome abilities to have: dark vision up to 12 meters and the ability to be immune to blinded. You also get advantage on Constitution saving throw checks. So one of the things that means is that we then get advantage on our concentration checks, which means that we get advantage on haste, and we get advantage, and we don't need to use that one. We don't need to use that infusion, which gives us advantage on concentration checks because we're getting it through this helmet. We're also going to use the gloves of the automaton. It's almost like Larian wanted there to be an Artificer class in this game, but then didn't ultimately make one, because all of this gear kind of... it's like it's built for an Artificer class. The Gloves of the Automaton gives you strength saving throws +1, and Circuitry Interface. Circuitry Interface is a really cool ability that we can use once per short rest, and it considers you a construct. Your weapon attack rolls have advantage, and you have resistance to lightning damage. This is a really great ability to have, because it just means... so there's a couple different things that happen when the game considers you a construct. You can't be affected by healing spells, but you do get access to advantage on weapon attack rolls and resistance to lightning damage, so that's really awesome. I'm not sure all the other things that come along with it, but I'm sure there's a couple of unique abilities there. For our boots, we are going to be using the Boots of Striding. When you cast a spell that requires concentration, you gain momentum for 1 turn, and while you are concentrating, you can't get knocked prone or be moved against your will, and you get an athletics +1. So basically what this is going to do is this is going to make it so that when we cast our haste, we can't be knocked down and or moved against our will, and we get momentum for 1 turn. In combination with having advantage on Constitution saving throws checks, means that we are going to almost always pass our concentration checks, which is really great. It means we're going to maintain our haste all the time, which is really great to have. For our amulet, we're going to use the Amulet of the Harpers. This is going to give us advantage on our wisdom saving throws. And it's also going to give us access to Shield, which is another really great defense spell to have. We already have this one, but this just gives us an extra option to use it in case we don't want to use a spell slot. For our rings, we're going to equip the Ring of Protection for extra armor class and another +1 to our saving throws, and the Ring of Free Action, which is going to allow us to ignore the effects of difficult terrain, cannot be paralyzed or restrained. So this one, in combination with the Boots of Striding, just is going to be really great for keeping us planted on the ground and not being affected by different terrains and stuff. For our ranged weapon, we are going to use the Deadshot. This is a really great one because we're not going to be attacking with it very much, but it gives us a +2 wood weapon attachment, and it increases our critical hit chance by reducing the number we need to roll to get one by 1. And for our weapon, we are going to be using the Skin Burster. This is a weapon that I haven't really used very much, but one of the things that is really great about it is that when the wielder deals melee damage with this weapon, they gain 2 turns of Force Conduit. Force Conduit is a really unique ability, or a really unique condition that instead of applying to your enemies, it applies to you. And it makes it so that when bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage against the affected entity is reduced by 1 per turn remaining. If the entity takes damage while it has 5 or more turns remaining, it deals 1 to 4 force damage in a 6-meter radius. So this is another thing that is going to reduce the damage happening to you per instance based on the number of turns you get. So the way this is going to work in combat is we're going to start by hasting ourselves, immediately followed up by attacking enemies to generate stacks of Force Conduit. So then as enemies come in and attack our Steel Defender or us, they're going to either miss us or hit the Steel Defender. And when they hit the Steel Defender, it's going to have the damage, and then it's going to hit us, and our armor is going to take 2 points off, and the Warding Bond will also have the damage again. It's also going to then for every turn of Force Conduit reduce it by another 1. So if we have eventually 7 stacks of it is the max, then we can reduce every instance of damage by 7 points. Yeah, so with those 2 items, we're going to be able to reduce a lot of incoming damage to us just by virtue of negating a lot of it, which is really awesome. We're barely ever going to get hit, and if we do get hit, we're going to be sending out these force shockwaves that hurt our enemies even more. So let's stop and take a look at how this works in combat. So we're here outside the walls of Baldur's Gate, and we are going to do some combat. We have our Steel Watcher, our animated guy here. He has been warding bonded, death warded, and freedom of movement, and aided. So I have 137 health, and he has 97 health. I'm going to enter turn mode. I have Great Weapon Master toggled on, and we are going to start combat by hasting ourselves. Oh, well, that doesn't start combat, but it's going to give us our haste. We're going to start combat by then attacking... first we're going to want to use our bonus action to activate our circuitry interface. This is going to give us our advantage on attack rolls. So now instead of 60 to 70%, we have advantage, and we're doing 88%, 88, 94, 94. Our attacks are pretty likely to hit, so we're going to start by coming over to Fist Richter here.
You were witnessed assaulting someone. You're headed for the cells.
And now we can... Oh, someone beat us. How did they beat us? Okay, well, that attack missed. That attack missed. And now we can resume attacking. So we're going to start. We're going to attack again. Beautiful. We're out of attack actions, but we are going to we're going to use our bonus action to protect our friend here. And now we're going to have him do that. Critical hit, because we got a critical hit, so it passed on to him. 23. You can see each instance here does 3d10 plus 6 force damage, 9 to 36, and we get extra attack on each, so really great damage there. We don't have a use for our bonus action besides giving ourselves the plus 5, so we're going to then apply this to ourselves. And now if we pull up our character sheets, see we have a 31 armor class. We're hardly ever going to get hit. And our automaton has a 26 armor class, 22 strength, 20 con, 18 dex. It's kind of insane how powerful we are here. Let's go ahead and end our turn. You can see here, every time they hit us, 0 force conduit, 0 force conduit. Hit him for 4 damage, us for 0 damage. Polearm Mastery. That one was a miss, unfortunately. Immune to We're gonna get another Polearm Mastery attack. 28, he's down. Yeah, as you can see, we have 7 stacks of Force Conduit. We have our protection. We have our Great Weapon Master bonus attack. Miss there because we both have very high ACs. Critical miss. 7, but still So every time that he takes damage, because he's been warding bonded, that 7 would have been a 14 for him, but he's taking half. So now it's our turn. We're going to attack this guy. And we still have max stacks of Force Conduit, so we're negating 7 damage at least per every time we get attacked. Do that. Let's do this cleave attack just so we can hit 2 at the same time. Awesome damage. We can still keep going. 23. He still has the protection from last time, so we don't need to. We got hit there for 0 damage. Here, it's going to hit Danton again, so we can either deflect attack with him, or we can shield. We have the one from the from our amulet, or from a spell slot. Let's use the amulet. Miss, miss, easy. Now we're going to attack him. 22 and 18 damage, really awesome. For a summon, who rarely gets hit. We got missed. We're going to use a shield. Actually, let's deflect attack. Miss. That's awesome. We have a ton of options. Here's another shield. Miss. Now we can do this. And then we can do this. And then we can do this. And that's pretty much that. I mean, that's... You can see how powerful this build is. It's really cool to be able to haste yourself and then just absolutely destroy your enemies while hardly ever taking any damage because of buffs that you put on yourself and on your own summon too. It's very, very powerful, especially when you have this free protection that you can just cast and give yourself that +5, or you can give, if not to yourself, you can give it to literally any person on your team, any other summon. Just pass it around to whoever you want. You can give it out once per turn with your character, as long as you can touch your ally, either to armor class or to saving throws. Really, really powerful ability to have for defense. Just awesome utility here. But that pretty much does it for this Artificer BattleSmith build. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thanks, and I hope you have an awesome day.